Hello everyone. Welcome to our webinar on the 4-step plan to fortify your organization against cybersecurity threats. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. My name is Cherubina and I'm a product expert at ManageEngine Analytics Plus. Before we get started, I'd like to share with you all some useful information about our session today. If you have any questions during the course of this webinar, feel free to type them in using the chat icon found on the left panel of your screen. I'll do my best to address them towards the end of this session. And in the event that we run short on time, I'll respond to your questions via email. Alternatively, you can also choose to email your questions to me directly using the email address that's flashing on your screen. Over the course of this webinar, we will be establishing a 4-pronged strategy that can tackle a variety of cybersecurity threats that ranges from zero-day threats to data exfiltration with the help of AI-powered analytics. In today's data-driven environment, cybersecurity threats are plentiful and breaches inevitable. Given the plethora of evolving and complex threats, a fail-proof cybersecurity strategy that can tackle this wide spectrum of growing cybersecurity threats becomes the need of the hour. Let's walk through various threat actors and discover how advanced analytics can be wielded to banish them. Given the sudden onslaught and the growing prevalence of zero-day attacks, organizations can be seen scrambling to employ targeted strategies to detect zero-day vulnerabilities at the onset and prevent zero-day exploits. The first step of our cybersecurity plan deals with these attacks. But before we dive into the details of it, let's first take a look at how a zero-day exploit works. A zero-day attack is one that exploits a recently discovered vulnerability, which is termed as a zero-day vulnerability, or even those that aren't yet acknowledged by the parent organization. When cybercriminals attack on day 0, it significantly reduces the window available for organizations to fend off the attack. This in turn results in an often inevitable security breach, and security teams are left in the blind about the presence of vulnerabilities and therefore unprepared for the breach. In addition to posing a grave security risk, zero-day vulnerabilities can also rake up hefty costs for an organization due to data theft, downtime, regulatory non-compliance, and even tarnish the organization's reputation. A study by PurpleSec discovered that 80% of all successful data breaches in 2019 directly resulted from zero-day attacks. And more than 50% of the threats analyzed in the 2021 Vulnerability Intelligence Report began as a zero-day exploit. It is only natural then that our first step towards fortifying an organization deals with zero-day attacks. The secret to an effective zero-day strategy is to rely on a blend of proactive and predictive measures that help security teams identify zero-day vulnerabilities, narrow the attack window, and offer fixes before organizations are impacted. So the primary step in fortifying your team against zero-day attacks is to detect vulnerabilities and immediately patch endpoints to address those vulnerabilities. However, for organizations employing a variety of endpoints that ranges anywhere from servers to BYOD devices, this is no small feat. And when faced with several vulnerabilities, how do you discern which ones to address first? A good way to go about this is by tracking your endpoint's risk scores, which can be achieved using the Vulnerability Analysis Report in Analytics Plus. This analysis intuitively assigns vulnerability scores to an organization's endpoints based on the amount and potential risk of all associated vulnerabilities. For instance, a Windows laptop that's running, say, one prohibited application and is missing a couple of critical patches would be assigned with a vulnerability score of 3. Beyond merely deducing your endpoint's vulnerabilities, this analysis also ranks endpoints based on the criticality of associated vulnerabilities. And this acts as a handy tool for CISOs looking to immediately employ remediation strategies and close the door on possible zero-day attacks. While this analysis helps you detect, prioritize, and secure at-risk endpoints, there are additional strategies you can implement to further secure your organization against zero-day attacks. It is no secret that Zero Trust, a security strategy that mandates constant authentication at every stage, plays a vital role in handling zero-day attacks. However, this may appear daunting and a bigger hassle for many organizations. An efficient way around this is to simply monitor and curtail user permissions, especially when pertaining to critical data and applications. While it may not be very efficient to track every user permission within a large-scale organization, you can simply use this visualization to track your organization's critical assets and the employees who have access to it. This acts as a great reminder to ensure critical access is revoked from parties post the required window and to assign accountability for vital organizational data. However, when all is said and done, there still may be some last-minute vulnerabilities that crop up, or simply some that were left unnoticed. Don't worry, there's a strategic way around this too. This step involves drawing insights from 2 visualizations. First, let's pull up an analysis that tracks the occurrence of past zero-day attacks. This tells us that the organization encountered a zero-day exploit in the months of February and June. With that in mind, let's switch to an analysis of network traffic leading up to these months. By effortlessly building a detailed report that tracks your organization's network traffic over a year, you can easily establish a baseline of normal organizational activity. It is evident from this analysis that there are sudden spikes in the organization's traffic in the exact months when a zero-day attack occurred. By digging deeper into this, you can identify that surges in network traffic began approximately a week before zero-day vulnerabilities were exploited. This acts as a great warning system for CISOs to double down on their security efforts and apply immediate patches and eliminate possible entry points. You can also choose to set up alerts, which would notify you via emails when network traffic begins to shoot up. This ensures your security team never misses out on a zero-day attack's early warning signs. As an additional step, organizations can also look towards setting up a zero-day initiative, which is a bounty program that encourages security analysts to identify vulnerabilities and rewards them on disclosing them in a timely manner. With IoT devices taking the corporate world by storm, they've introduced an easy avenue for cybercriminals to gain access into an organization's secure environment. Many of these smart IoT devices are susceptible to cyber attacks, as they are often left on the back burner in the march to secure and fortify an organization's endpoints. And factor in the reality that most of these devices aren't patched regularly or even secured with traditional antivirus software, and it is no surprise that IoT attacks are on the rise worldwide. With organizations employing a diverse IoT ecosystem and in turn a widespread unsecured platform, securing IoT devices is critical. However, these devices usually don't have a common management console, and can range from something as simple as a CCTV camera to complex heat sensors. And this makes it difficult to secure IoT devices with general cybersecurity software. The sad reality is that security teams often don't give them the same level of attention they give other network components, or even exercise the same discretion in sharing an IoT device's credentials as they would a laptop's. However, by simply leveraging an AI-led analytics platform, you can effortlessly secure your organization's IoT devices. This report analyzes the host of IoT devices falling under an organization's IoT ecosystem and identifies those with weak authentication, which helps security teams take measures towards password compliance. In addition to this, you can also identify the devices whose credentials were shared, which poses an additional layer of risk, indicating that these devices with shared credentials and weak authentication should be prioritized and would benefit from immediate password changes. Beyond ensuring password compliance, to truly secure your organization's IoT devices, you can task security teams to track the firmware updates of each device. You can leverage the findings in this analysis to identify devices with outdated firmware and take immediate measures to update them. It is recommended to configure this as a routine process that's a part of regular security tasks to ensure your IoT devices are truly fortified. When working towards securing your organization's perimeter and endpoints, it would be remiss to ignore the threats that arise from within your ranks, insider threats. These can be categorized into those that are a result of negligent insiders, who unknowingly cause security breaches, and malicious insiders, who set out to overthrow the organization's security measures. While the former can be sidestepped with routine security training and seminars on safe cyber practices, the latter threat of malicious insiders requires focused effort to discern and nullify. Whether an employee inadvertently or consciously causes a security risk, as they are already within the organization's secure perimeter, they can be exceedingly difficult to discern and tackle. The 2022 Cost of Insider Threats Global Report discovered that it takes an average of 85 days to detect and contain an incident due to insider threats. The same study deduced that insider threat incidents have risen by over 44% over the last 2 years. And the total cost of activities to resolve insider threats averages at about $15 million, with North American companies spending more than the average at roughly $17 million. Not only are breaches resulting from insider threats challenging to discern, they are also expensive to clean up. A holistic cybersecurity strategy that combines AI-powered insights with regular seminars is crucial to curb malicious and negligent insider attacks. An effective way about this is to understand your employees' usual behavior and leverage that information to detect the anomalies that occur when an insider attack is attempted. This analysis aids security teams in understanding normal user behavior and also helps identify unusual spikes in user access during office hours. However, these may also occur for non-malicious reasons, as employees' workload and requirements can evolve over the course of their work. So while these minor spikes might be justifiable during office hours, similar spikes in user access during non-business hours can be a valid cause for concern. This analysis acts as a great way to identify anomalous user behavior during non-business hours. It categorizes user behavior by the type of operations performed by employees, which helps you to quickly discern malicious behavior from benevolent actions. For instance, while account discovery actions may not necessarily be a cause for alarm, a failure to retrieve passwords, or even a deletion of password policies should require immediate attention to avoid widespread risk. These in-depth visualizations act as a good aid in establishing baselines for user operations and identifying outliers. But when it comes to an organization's critical assets, simply waiting for larger spikes in abnormal behavior to occur can be risky. An efficient security strategy is one that should detect even the first occurrence of suspicious behavior when pertaining to critical information. While we previously discussed an analysis that identified an organization's critical assets and its user logs, why stop there? We can take that analysis a step further to additionally track detailed information on the employees who access your vital assets and data. This can range from the name of the employees to their access levels, time of access, and the location of the access request. By closely analyzing your employees' access to the organization's critical assets and data over a period of time, you can establish baselines on user behavior and identify outliers. For instance, John has periodically accessed the CRM database from the San Diego office, and often at the beginning of each month. However, you can notice an access request under his name from Beijing, and during non-business hours to boot. It is good practice to immediately flag such occurrences for further investigation, revoke the user's access, and cut off possible budding attacks in their onset. Our session so far has covered the 3 major cyber attacks plaguing enterprises worldwide, and detailed insightful and easy ways to overcome them. However, any good cybersecurity strategy would be incomplete if we don't formulate remedial actions in the event that a breach does occur. The predominant motivator for cybercriminals to strive to breach an organization, through the variety of attack vectors we discussed previously, is to steal or even corrupt an organization's data. Such unauthorized removal or movement of data is referred to as data exfiltration, data theft, or even data leakage. And while this was traditionally an easily preventable scenario, data exfiltration is now becoming increasingly harder to detect and prevent due to the growing variety of cyber threats. This can land organizations in a world of pain, involving customer attrition, immense cost to recover the data, and reputational damage, all of which can leave a lasting mark on any enterprise's livelihood. Data is clearly proving to be a powerful, valuable commodity, with organizations going the extra mile to ensure its safety and privacy. Data exfiltration generally occurs in 3 stages. The first being the breaching of an organization's perimeter, for which cybercriminals turn to any mode of attack, from zero-day exploits to IoT attacks. Once the perimeter is breached, they proceed to locate the data that can cause the most damage, that is critical organizational information, and then apply exfiltration frameworks to extract the targeted data. While the strategies set in place thus far will help security teams tackle the first stage of a data exfiltration attack, and should ideally be sufficient to remediate these attacks, it is always good practice to configure additional processes to address the next 2 stages of a data exfiltration attack as well. Cybercriminals looking to exfiltrate or steal an organization's data can accomplish this in one of 2 ways, either by installing malicious software that exfiltrates data via an organization's network, or by employing physical devices to transfer data from an organization's endpoints. Let's look at how we can nullify both these scenarios with AI-powered analytics. When dealing with data exfiltration through an organization's servers, the underlying logic we employed for tackling insider threats rings true here as well. By identifying data transfer baselines, security teams can hone in on anomalous behavior and stop an attack in its tracks. This detailed analysis pulls in information on each device's data transfer behavior, which helps CISOs deduce transfer baselines and easily detect when abnormal amounts of data is being transferred. It is also recommended to configure alerts that will immediately notify concerned leaders when the amount of data being transferred begins to shoot up. While these may very well be certifiable actions carried out by your employees, when coupled with insights that point to a cyber attack attained from our previous analysis, it's a surefire mark of a data exfiltration attempt. Security teams must instantly prioritize and take immediate measures to prevent data theft from progressing. By leveraging these analytical insights, you can safely detect the instant when your network is breached to exfiltrate data. However, for scenarios where cybercriminals simply resort to the use of a physical device to steal an organization's critical data, trying to detect these devices would be akin to searching for the proverbial needle in a haystack. On the other hand, tracking the USB connections they'd employ to connect these devices can be effortlessly accomplished. Let's look at the devices with the most USB connections within an organization. By employing insights generated by this analysis, security teams can effortlessly keep a close eye on devices that have the highest number of USB connections. While merely having several USB devices connected may not truly be a source of concern, we can dig deeper into this line of investigation to discern the duration of these connections. In the previous visualization, we recognized a device that had a high number of USB connections. And we can now see that these connections last for approximately 300 hours. All it takes is a matter of mere minutes to illicitly transfer data from a computer or laptop, and security teams would benefit from monitoring the number and the duration of USB connections with the utmost care. On the flip side, cybercriminals who are aware of such restrictions and the consecutive alerts may choose to remove data in bits over a longer period of time, which would allow them to fly under the radar and avoid being flagged by monitoring systems that work off transferred limits and durations. The simplest way around this is to merely look for frequent USB connections. By analyzing the organization-wide USB connections, this analysis instantly displays users who frequently connect USB devices to their endpoints. While most users flagged in this visualization maintain an average of roughly 3 connections, Eric here appears to have connected USB devices a massive 28 times over the last quarter, which warrants further investigation. However, it is a good practice for security teams to follow up on all users listed here to discern the reason behind frequent USB usage. That's it, folks. Over the course of this session, we've covered a 4-pronged strategy to not only overcome increasingly stealthy cyber attacks, but also outlined a strategy that protects your organizational data in the event of a security breach. But before we wind up, I'd also like to pass on a couple of quick tips that will add an additional layer of protection around your organization and its assets. You can also choose to implement these tips first in the event that you're running on a time crunch and would like to establish immediate fortification. A recent study by Straitcast and Frost & Sullivan discovered that nearly 80% of employees use unauthorized applications for a variety of reasons. While these applications may not be installed for nefarious reasons, the usage of such unauthorized applications poses a grave risk to your organization. Termed as shadow IT, these are IT devices, systems or software that are used without explicit approval from your organization's endpoint and security teams. Though these applications have proven to increase productivity in most cases, they open the door to data loss, security breaches, increased costs in combating these breaches and subsequent downtime, and so much more. All it takes to identify these unauthorized apps is to ensure your endpoint management system analyzes every endpoint and picks up on unapproved usage. However, Simply identifying and blocking these shadow IT apps is insufficient, as newer alternatives would simply crop up. An efficient way to overcome shadow IT is to identify every unauthorized application, device, or system and evaluate and categorize them based on their risk, compliance, and usage within your organization. This analysis evaluates and categorizes shadow IT based on their risk levels, compliance with IT and safety regulations, and organizational usage. IT leaders can then pick out applications that pose no risk, are compliant and widely used, and convert them into authorized IT applications. However, applications that pose grave risk and aren't compliant with safety standards should be removed immediately and blocked to prevent further usage. But in the event that these applications are widely used, you can identify safer alternatives and work towards incorporating them into your company's policies. This curbs the installation of new shadow IT applications while ensuring overall productivity is unaffected. Another quick way to protect your organization is to do away with applications and operating systems that are used beyond their end of life or support. Using software applications beyond their lifetime or running on operating systems that are no longer provided with regular patches and updates is akin to locking your door with a rusty lock. They prove a shockingly easy way into your secure environment. This analysis allows you to easily keep an eye on the outdated applications and operating system versions running within your organization. You can either choose to ensure they are updated to the latest versions, or in cases where that isn't possible, simply provide safer alternatives that aren't susceptible to cyber attacks. And these were the 2 quick and easy tips that go a long way in offering an additional layer of protection to your organization. Over the course of this webinar, we identified and discussed 4 essential avenues and steps your security team can cover that will help you strategize an effective cybersecurity incident response plan. Let me quickly cover everything we learned during this session. Zero-day attacks. Ranking endpoints based on their vulnerability scores and keeping a close eye on user permissions to critical assets go a long way in overcoming zero-day vulnerabilities. Additionally, you can establish safe baselines for organizational behavior leading to a zero-day exploit, which can then be leveraged to discern future attacks at their onset. IoT attacks. Given the wide variety of devices that constitute the IoT ecosystem, the most effective way to fortify these IoT devices is to curb weak authentication, sharing of credentials, and ensure the device's firmware is up to date. Insider threats. A great way to overcome insider attacks that arise from both negligent and malicious insiders is to spot abnormal user access pertaining to critical information, and especially during non-business hours. Data exfiltration. A strong data loss prevention plan plays a crucial role in any cybersecurity strategy. Simply monitor and identify anomalies in data transfer, both in network traffic and via USB connections. We also discussed 2 quick tips that can go a long way in securing your organization. Shadow IT. Categorize and abolish unauthorized applications and devices, and offer safer alternatives to avoid a resurgence of shadow IT applications. Track end of life and support. Applications and operating systems running past their end of life and support dates are extremely susceptible to cyber attacks, seeing as they don't receive regular patches and updates. Attain complete visibility into your organization's endpoints and software applications to overcome this grave security risk. The reports we covered over the course of this webinar were built using Analytics Plus, ManageEngine's AI-powered business intelligence and advanced analytics solution, using data spanning across various endpoint management solutions. Beyond offering comprehensive analytical capabilities, Analytics Plus also provides out-of-the-box integrations with several IT applications. This includes various managed engine applications like Endpoint Central, Mobile Device Manager Plus, PAM 360, Applications Manager, and Service Desk Plus, to name a few. The Advanced Analytics platform also provides pre-built analytics for various third-party IT applications, such as Jira Software, Zendesk, and ServiceNow. The primary benefit of these out-of-the-box integrations lies in the fact that it can be configured within minutes, post which you can access more than 300 pre-built reports and dashboards that are generated. So if you would like to attain a hands-on experience and apply this detailed analysis over your company's data, all you need to do is sign up or download the Analytics Plus free trial and set up the integrations to access the insightful reports and dashboards. Beyond offering out-of-the-box insights for major IT applications, Analytics Plus continually strives to facilitate self-service at every level of its platform. A key player that facilitates this is our AI-driven analytics assistant, Zia. If you're just getting started with analytics and find BI tools to be daunting, well, Zia is your new best friend. All you have to do is strike up a conversation with Zia, either via text or voice, and Zia will automatically generate the insights required to further your analytics journey. While this removes the task of having to build a report yourself, understanding and breaking down the information displayed in a visualization can take up a lot of time. Well, we've got you covered even then. With Zia Insights, you can attain narrative, detailed interpretation of your analysis at the mere click of a button. This feature proves beneficial, especially in cases where immediate action is crucial in putting out fires within your organization. You can also leverage Zia's conversational prowess to dig deeper into your data, to uncover hidden information and perform root cause analysis, and also use the forecasting engine to foresee future trends and modify your business strategies accordingly. Another beneficial and handy feature in Analytics Plus is our scenario analysis functionality. Using what-if analysis, you can execute powerful scenario analysis over your reports to visualize various outcomes based on a deciding factor. By understanding the business impact when changes occur ahead of time, you can adjust your strategies and achieve your business objectives with ease. You can also set up threshold-based alerts for your reports and get notified via in-app alerts or email. This saves you the trouble of having to recheck your reports manually to avoid missing out on business-critical changes. This is also very helpful in notifying you suspicious activities that occur within your environment. So that was a brief overview of the Analytics Plus application, and it looks like we have a few minutes left for a quick Q&A session. Let's take a look at the first question. I'm not well versed in data analytics. Can I still use Analytics Plus to configure advanced protection? Definitely. Analytics Plus is a self-service business intelligence software that does not require complex SQL queries or coding. It employs a simple drag and drop interface that allows users to build and customize the visualization they require with ease. Additionally, with our AI-powered assistant Zia, you can simply ask or type in your questions and Zia will generate relevant visualizations. You can also use Zia to perform data predictions and root cause analysis with zero human effort. Moving on to the next question. I have data present in multiple monitoring applications that I would like to analyze. Is it possible to configure a unified analytics setup for this? Yes, you can easily blend data from different applications and attain unified comprehensive insights into your organization's endpoints and employees, which gives you a holistic view of your organization's security posture. Additionally, we also offer pre-built blended analytics for data from Endpoint Central and Service Desk Plus, which can be configured within minutes and offers a range of pre-built reports and dashboards based on the blended data. So that brings us to the end of the questions and answers section. We've covered a lot of information through the course of this webinar, and I truly hope you benefit from this session. If you'd like to try out these reports for yourself, you can quickly download or sign up for the Manage Engine Analytics Plus application, which provides a free, all-inclusive 30-day trial. Simply scan the QR code that's flashing on your screen, or use the link found in your chat window to head to the download page. You'll be able to download the on-premise version or sign up for the cloud version of Analytics Plus and get the application running with ease. Once that's done, it should take you mere minutes to configure any integration and access all the pre-built reports and dashboards. And with that, we have reached the end of this webinar. So that's about it from me, folks. If you had any concerns or questions during this session, please do contact me using the email address that's on your screen right now. I truly love to hear from you. Thank you for taking the time to join this session today. Take care, everyone. Have a great day ahead.